You're in the paint.
Harden at the midcourt circle, guarded out there by Michael Porter Jr. Loops it over to Zubats. Kick out three to Kawhi. Doesn't shoot it. Cross court, three-pointer Jones. Yeah. 106-82. Denver down by 24. Coach Adelman, get these dudes off the floor. Porter three. That one's no good. Rebound down to Zubats.
That was Jason Kosmiski on the call. Welcome to In the Paint, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Coverage for Game 3 in this first round Western Conference matchup between the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers. This was an absolute beatdown tonight, ladies and gentlemen. LA 117, Denver 83. I just looked it up. This was the Nuggets' lowest point total of their season. The entire season, regular and postseason, this was the fewest amount of points that the Denver Nuggets have scored the entire year. The Shop Mazda text line's wide open for you, 303-504-0925. Jordan, if we get some callers, we can take some callers here tonight, 303-504-0925, if you want to weigh in on what went wrong for the Denver Nuggets in Game 3 there in Los Angeles. Just to go towards the end of the game here to start, and then we'll kind of break down the first half of this game. The body language from Nikola Jokic in the second half of this basketball game was probably one of the most concerning things that I saw in this game tonight. He was obviously extremely frustrated, and I would say mostly on the defensive end. You could tell Nikola Jokic was getting frustrated with the defensive coverages. The rotations were extremely sloppy tonight, very slow, and Joker's out there trying to direct traffic, but they just could not handle what the LA Clippers were throwing at them. And what is so perplexing to me about what just happened tonight is you've got a 157-year-old James Harden running circles around this Denver Nuggets defense. I get it. He's going to be an eventual Hall of Fame player. But the fact that they were able to just knife through the Nuggets defense as easily as they did tonight was very, very concerning. And, you know, I tweeted this out, I don't know, midway through the game. But honestly, I thought that the Nuggets' effort tonight was completely unacceptable. Other than Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, for the most part, everybody else just seemed to be standing around. I mean, we had Chris Marlowe and Scott Hastings on here at number 38, and I heard Marlowe and Scott talk about this several times. Everybody's just standing around. And it wasn't on just the defensive end of the floor. It was on the offensive end of the floor. The way the Nuggets started this game, they were running all over the court. They actually started this game pretty well. In fact, Aaron Gordon had 11 points in the first 5 minutes of this game. So the Nuggets actually did get off to a pretty good start. I mean, they were up 7 with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. And then after that, it was all but over. So the Nuggets trailed 35-28 after 1. In that first quarter, the Clippers shot 9 of 13 from 3. 9 of 13. The Nuggets just shot 3 of 6. In fact, LA ended that first quarter on a 16-2 run. That extended into the second quarter. It actually ballooned up to a 23-2 extended run for the LA Clippers. And that, after that, this game was all but over. And then the second unit comes in to start the second quarter with Nikola Jokic off the floor. The second unit tonight was just Jamal Murray dribbling the air out of the basketball and then firing up a wild shot. That was the second unit's offense tonight. There was no ball movement, no player movement at all. The Nuggets are really struggling to find their offensive identity with that second unit. And look, I've been talking about this all year. This is nothing new for the Denver Nuggets. They have not had an offensive identity whatsoever with the second unit this season. Other than a few games here and there where Russell Westbrook has actually ran the point pretty well, and we've also seen Jalen Pickett come in a handful of games and be able to be the floor general for that second unit. But other than that, folks, the Nuggets are still having the exact same issues that I have been talking about all season long. They lack depth on this team. The perimeter defense has been horrendous, and they just cannot seem to get things going with that second unit. So, like I said, I don't want this to be all doom and gloom. They're still in this series. It's game 3. They're down 2-1. They easily could have won game 2 that went to overtime. So I don't want to just say, hey, it looks like this series is over, because it's not. But what we saw in Los Angeles tonight is obviously very concerning. I don't know why I feel this way, but for whatever reason, I feel much, much more confident in the Avs being down 2-1 versus the Nuggets being down 2-1. The lack of depth has really bit them so far in these playoffs. And the lack of defense with this team has been really concerning as well. Like I said, the fact that James Harden and Kawhi, I know they're great players, they're future Hall of Famers, they're pretty long in the tooth, and they can still play. But the fact that those guys are just running circles around the Nuggets defense is what is one of the most concerning things for me tonight. No question about it. All right, let's get a couple texts in here from the 4540 on the Shop Mazda text line, 303-504-0925. Nuggets need to make all the effort to get Jeff Van Gundy as their next head coach. Wow, we're already talking about who's going to be the next head coach. It's 2-1, folks. This series isn't over. But I will say, this is – David Adelman has been absolutely crushing his press conferences. But at the end of the day, that really doesn't mean all that much if they're not winning games. So this is, I would say, a mini tryout for David Adelman as far as his chances to become the permanent head coach of the Denver Nuggets starting next season. But it's just – it's too early to tell on that. And like I said all year, this isn't a coaching problem for the Nuggets, in my opinion. It's a roster problem. The Nuggets are clearly too top-heavy. Now, I've also said that in the playoffs, I didn't think that would be as much of a factor because the rotations shrink and you're not having as many of your into-the-bench guys having to play, although tonight was a little bit different because Russell Westbrook was ruled out basically at halftime. It was actually a couple minutes into the third quarter. He was questionable to return. He did not return. So we did get to see a little bit more Jalen Pickett tonight. Julian Strawther got in the game. I don't think he would have gotten in tonight's game if Russell Westbrook would not have gone out with a foot injury. But, Jalen Pickett, 0 points in 11 minutes. Julian Strawther, 0 points in 11 minutes. The bench gave you nothing. Russ, 9 minutes, shot 1 of 5, 3 points. Peyton Watson, my goodness. He might have had the roughest game of anybody. In his 18 minutes, he was 1 of 4 from the field, 2 points, and it was a minus 29. That led the team in plus-minus. He was a minus 29. In fact, after their first stint, not even at halftime, after Jalen Pickett and Peyton Watson's first stint with the second unit, Jalen was minus 15, Peyton Watson was minus 17. And that had to have been in a, 6-minute stretch? So, again, it's just the same issues continue to plague the Denver Nuggets. Now, Joker was Joker tonight. He was by far their most efficient, most effective player. No shocker there. He did get another triple-double, his second in the series, 23 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists. And Jamal was actually pretty good as well. He also poured in 23. But in order for the Nuggets to have a chance in this series, these dudes, those two guys specifically, I think are going to have to average at least 30 points a game because they just are not finding scoring from hardly anybody else. Aaron Gordon, I thought, actually had a fairly good rebound sort of game from his Game 2 performance where he seemed to struggle. He poured in 15 points, but you get 9 from CB and Michael Porter Jr. I mean, that really is just the biggest question mark with the starting five right now. And now, for Michael Porter Jr.'s sake, I think it's fair that we mention that he was questionable coming into tonight's game with a shoulder sprain. And in fact, David Adelman, if you heard in his post-game press conference, says that he was actually surprised that MPJ even decided to give it a go. So I do commend Michael for, at least pushing through the pain of that shoulder sprain, and he played 35 minutes. But man, if he's going to continue to have performances like we've seen in this series, David Adelman's going to have some really tough decisions to make as far as his role moving forward until that shoulder is, at least somewhat okay, because what we saw from MPJ tonight was just, it looked like a shell of himself, and his shooting form looks off. Every shot he took tonight was off balance. In fact, I would actually say that for Jamal Murray as well. The difference with Jamal is he's shown over the course of his career the ability to be able to hit those off-balance shots. For whatever reason, he's just really good at being able to do that. But with Michael Porter Jr., if he doesn't have a solid platform when he's shooting the basketball, it hardly ever goes in. And it just seemed like every shot that he took tonight was really off-balance. So that's going to be a big storyline moving forward in this series. And if the Nuggets are going to get back into this thing, who's it going to be other than Jokic and Murray? I mean, Christian Braun, where are you at, man? I've been praising Christian Braun all season long. I think he deserved to at least be in the running for most improved player of the season, and he had a fantastic regular season, but he has regressed through the first 3 games of this first-round series against the LA Clippers. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll take your calls. We'll react to some of your texts and continue reacting to the Nuggets' loss to the LA Clippers in Game 3. Join Altitude Sports Radio on Saturday at Tony Tenderoni's in Denver for a Nuggets viewing party. D-Mac will be giving away awesome prizes, including an autographed Michael Porter Jr. jersey. Thanks to our friends at Michelob Ultra. We'll see you at Tony Tenderoni's coming up on Saturday. You're listening to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio.
Altitude Sports Radio is the home for Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup playoff hockey.
There can only be one!
And all day tomorrow, it's an Avalanche Playoff Ticket Friday. We want to put you in the building for the Avs and Stars Game 4 at Ball Arena.
Force of nature versus rideshare rating.
Listen all day on the 20s for keywords to text and enter.
Make it a hockey Saturday.
From the home of the Avs, Altitude Sports Radio, 92.5.
Hey, it's D-Mac. Before prices climb, lock in pre-tariff pricing at Mike Maroney Chevrolet GMC of Longmont's Explore More event. They've secured a limited number of new vehicles before tariffs change everything. Are you listening? Limited time. Price protected brand new Chevys and GMCs, all sold with pre-tariff pricing. Search and save right now at Mike Maroney Chevrolet GMC.com. Okay, there may be some confusion, but one thing is certain. These new models stand exempt from any price hike, and they are the last to be sold at current market value, so don't wait to buy. Because Maroney means more, every vehicle comes with a 3-day money-back guarantee and free delivery anywhere in Colorado. That is a better way to avoid tariffs. This opportunity won't last. Avoid the tariffs now at Mike Maroney Chevrolet GMC.com. Together, let's drive. We are professional grade. Explore more now at Mike Maroney Chevrolet GMC.com and tell him D-Mac sent you.
I'm Darren Shanker, and this is our client Marcia's story.
I was walking my dog in the morning and we were hit by a car in a crosswalk. My dog had lots of internal tears and damage, and I had lots of soft tissue damage from being jerked so hard. I was hoping I didn't need a lawyer, but unfortunately, the insurance company wasn't easy to deal with. Backus and Schenker treated me like a person and really listened to me, and they did a great job. I'm very happy.
Backus and Shanker, Our passion is justice.
Saturday, it's the Nuggets and Clippers Game 4. And you're invited to the Altitude Sports Radio viewing party with D-Mac at Tony Tenderoni's, 1937 Market Street. Come out and meet D-Mac, who has your chance to win a Nuggets jersey and other Nuggets swag. Enjoy some great food, watch the game, then stay for the In the Paint postgame show with Dan Tanner. It all starts at 3:30 Saturday. The Altitude Sports Radio viewing party at Tony Tenderoni's. Presented by Michelob Ultra.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. HIMS.com/JOY.
Spring cleaning isn't just for clutter. Let Benjamin Franklin Plumbing take care of your appliances. From water heater replacement or repair to advanced water filtration installation, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing is here to provide a worry-free summer for you and your family. Visit BenjaminFranklinPlumbing.com to schedule. You can count on the punctual plumbers, where your comfort and safety come first. Book now. Visit BenjaminFranklinPlumbing.com.
Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
You have to get better or you're getting worse.
More Denver sports talk in 60 seconds.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. HIMS.com/JOY.
Spring cleaning isn't just for clutter. Let Benjamin Franklin Plumbing take care of your appliances. From water heater replacement or repair to advanced water filtration installation, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing is here to provide a worry-free summer for you and your family. Visit BenjaminFranklinPlumbing.com to schedule. You can count on the punctual plumbers, where your comfort and safety come first. Book now. Visit BenjaminFranklinPlumbing.com.
Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Nuggets postgame continues. You're in the paint.
Nuggets fall to the Clippers, 117-83, your final there in Los Angeles in Game 3 of the first-round series between the Denver Nuggets and the LA Clippers. Nikola Jokic does go for another triple-double in this game. He pours in 23 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists, had a steal. Only two turnovers for Nikola tonight, which I believe he had 7 in Game 2. So that is a positive sign there from Nikola Jokic. Look, I talked about this a little bit in segment 1, but Nikola Jokic is clearly very frustrated with what's going on right now. His body language in the second half of this basketball game was not good. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way against Nikola Jokic. Like, look, I get it. He should be frustrated because tonight it really seemed like Joker was the only one that was 100% all in on this game. And the fact that we're in Game 3 of the playoffs and I'm sitting here questioning certain players' efforts pretty much says it all at this point. Now, again, I don't want this to come across as a doom and gloom type of show because this series is not over. It's 2-1. I mean, it feels like the Nuggets just got swept and this is an end-of-the-season type of show. They're still in this series. And I've talked about this really since the All-Star break, since the Nuggets have been struggling. That's really where this kind of started, this rough stretch for the Denver Nuggets. When you have Nikola Jokic, you got a shot, okay? So just keep that in mind when thinking about tonight's blowout loss to the LA Clippers. Nikola is the type of player, and we've seen him do it before. I mean, I go back to the 2022 season where he, you know, they don't win a game against the Golden State Warriors without Nikola Jokic, and were able to get one. Nikola Jokic can and has willed this team to a series victory before. And quite honestly, other than Michael Porter Jr.'s shoulder sprain that popped up after Game 2, for the most part, all things considered, with all of the injuries this team has dealt with all season long, this is probably the healthiest they've been all year besides the first week of the regular season. So it's not like this team has just been decimated with injuries, okay? But the problem has been, even before MPJ's shoulder injury, he's been struggling shooting the basketball. Well, what is Michael Porter Jr. on the floor to do? He's out there to shoot the basketball at a high percentage, and he hasn't been doing that. So if he's not going to do that, he's got to find other ways to contribute. Now, in Game 2, he did pour in 15 points and shot the ball much better than he did in Game 1. But what else did he do in Game 2? Well, he pulled down 15 rebounds. So if his shot's not falling, how is he going to help this team in other areas? Tonight he had 6. And, you know, if you've listened to the show over the past couple of years, my rule has been for Michael Porter Jr., he should average 10 rebounds a game. He's got the size. He's got the length. He's got the ability to do that. So when MPJ isn't at or near that 10-rebound marker, it's very, very frustrating to me. Okay, I'm being shown a tweet here from Vic Lombardi. It says Michael Porter Jr. gave it a go tonight, but he couldn't lift his arm without pain. Says his shoulder injury is a 4 or 5 week recovery. Wow. They don't have 4 or 5 weeks. He said he was operating at 20 to 30%. Okay. Then why was he out there? Like, this is a moment where I will question David Adelman. If that is the case, why was he on the floor tonight? And this is where you have to have a head coach that protects the players from themselves. And I commend Michael Porter Jr. for giving it a go tonight. I do. But 20 to 30%? And he can't lift his arm after the game? That's where I'm going to be critical of the coaching staff for allowing him to. He played 35 minutes tonight, and he couldn't lift his arm after the game. I mean, what are we doing here? Look, I know that Julian Strawther got in tonight and played 11 minutes and didn't score. I mean, he only took one shot. But don't you think that this team would have been better served if that is the case with MPJ, to have Julian Strawther in? All right, let's see here. This is from Mark J. Spears. MPJ says he was struggling moving his shoulder up, and if he feels as bad as he did today, he may need to sit Game 4. Well, yeah. I mean, if he feels as bad as he did today, he should have sat today. Wow, that's very interesting. You know, this is the one thing I will say about firing your head coach with 3 games to go before the end of the regular season. And I'm not going to put all of this on David Adelman, but there's got to be that voice that carries weight and goes above everybody else that says, Michael, I appreciate you trying to give it a go tonight, but you're not playing. And that's very interesting. So, look, Michael was struggling before this shoulder injury. So he was already, you know, kind of on the list of like, what do we do with this guy? What do the Nuggets do with this guy moving forward in the playoffs if he's not going to produce? And now the fact that he can't lift his arm is concerning. I do believe it's his opposite shoulder, not his shooting shoulder, but that's still going to affect your shot. And like I said in the previous segment, every single shot Michael took tonight was off balance. Every single one. Like, Jamal can get away with that. He just has the ability to hit those tough shots. And he actually hit several of those tonight. Michael is the type of shooter where, like I said, he has to have a solid platform when he's shooting. And if he doesn't have a solid platform, I can count on one hand in his career that I've seen the amount of off-balance shots I've seen Michael Porter Jr. hit. Specifically, from 15 feet or further away from the rim. So that's going to be really interesting to see what David Adelman does. I mean, you can't play him in Game 4. You just can't. They have one day off. They play again on Saturday. So I would be very surprised if David Adelman doesn't yank Michael Porter Jr. from the lineup. Maybe you can bring him off the bench for 10 to 15 minutes, maybe. But again, even in that scenario, how effective is he going to be? Wow, that's really interesting. I mean, we knew he had a hurt shoulder coming into tonight's game, and he was listed as questionable. But, from all the reports that I've been reading throughout the day, nothing would have suggested that it was that severe. So that's very interesting to see. And then you had Russell Westbrook go out tonight. He missed the entire second half of this game with a foot injury. He was just 1 of 5 from the field in his 9 minutes with 3 points before he went out of this game as well. So what do they do in Game 4? I mean, you getting to the point where you're going to have to start Peyton Watson for MPJ, and then Julian Strawther's going to have to play a lot more minutes. That's kind of the conundrum that the Nuggets have found themselves in this season. They're not a deep basketball team. And that's one of their big problems right now. And, I talk about the depth not being as important in the playoffs because the rotations shrink, which in part is true, but that isn't factoring in if one of your starters gets injured. If one of your starters gets injured, then you're in trouble. So that's the exact scenario that the Nuggets find themselves in right now. And honestly, forget about the Michael Porter Jr. situation for just a second. Christian Braun has got to play better. I mean, he has not been the player he was in the regular season through the first 3 games of these playoffs. He just hasn't been. The Nuggets had 3 transition points tonight. They were the number 1 scoring transition team in the NBA this year. Christian Braun was one of the leading transition scorers in the league this year. In fact, he might have been number 1. And they had 3 total. The one thing I will say about Joker that has been a just tad bit frustrating, other than the turnovers, and that's not just Joker, that's the whole team, but the one thing that has been a little bit frustrating for me with Nikola Jokic is it feels like he's taking a lot more outside shots than he normally would. And maybe that's an effect of Zubac being a beast in the painted area, and I probably think that is one of the reasons. And I will say, whenever Nikola Jokic tries to back Zubac down in the low post, I mean, he's getting swarmed, double and triple teamed instantly. As soon as he turns his back to the basket and tries to back Zubac down, he is getting swarmed with a double or triple team. So that might be one of the reasons why Nikola has been taking a lot more outside shots in this series. I mean, he was still really efficient tonight. He was 9 of 14 from the field, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. But the credit to the Clippers. They have really taken away Joker's effectiveness in the low post area. And that's something that the Nuggets desperately need to figure out a way to get Joker a little bit more time and space on that part of the floor. Okay, text lines 303-504-0925 if you want to weigh in on tonight's game. What do the Nuggets need to do in Game 4? We just heard the news about Michael Porter Jr. I really doubt he plays in Game 4. I don't think he should. If what we're reading from Vic and Mark Spears is true, then he was playing at 20 to 30% tonight. He can barely lift his arm in the locker room after the game. That is obviously not a good situation for Michael or the Denver Nuggets. So it'll be interesting to see what this team decides to do, what David Adelman decides to do in Game 4. I really hope that cooler heads prevail and Michael just sits for Game 4. You start Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, you're up. It's go time. And Jalen Pickett, same for him. These are where you're going to have a game or two from some of your young guys. And they don't need to be dominant. Can I get 10 points from Jalen Pickett and Julian Strawther in Game 4? I think that's doable. So we'll see what happens. But we'll take our final timeout, come back, and give final thoughts on the Nuggets loss to the Clippers tonight and what to expect coming up in Game 4. You're listening to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
The Nuggets, the Avalanche, the playoffs. Get it all. Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
With everything that's happening in the economy, it feels like we're all walking on shaky ground. Prices are stuck at a really high level, and it seems like nothing is affordable anymore. It's no wonder many are relying on credit cards to cover the gaps. Credit card debt is skyrocketing, and it's leaving a lot of people really stressed out. Well, if you're a homeowner, you don't have to face this uncertainty alone. My friends at American Financing can help you take control. They can help you access the equity in your home to help you pay down that high-interest credit card debt, giving you peace of mind and real savings. On average, people just like you are saving $800 a month. Plus, they may close your loan in as little as 10 days. Don't let the chaos of the economy get the best of you. Call American Financing now. It costs you nothing to get started, and you may delay 2 mortgage payments, giving you a cushion in this uncertain time. 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000 or AmericanFinancing.net.
NMLS 182334 and MLSConsumerAccess.org.
I'm Kyle Backus. This is our client Jim's story.
I got on the highway on my motorcycle. Young man, distracted driving. Traffic stopped in front of him, and he hit his brakes and spun out into my lane. Even though I had a helmet on, hitting the pavement at 70 miles an hour causes brain injury. Kyle was referred to us and actually showed up at my house. He's as personal as he is aggressive with your case. You will be lost if you don't have the right people in your corner. And we did, most definitely.
Backus and Schenker. Our passion is justice.
Nate Kreckman for Roller Auction, Colorado's premier auction marketplace. Check out Roller's government auctions if you're looking for well-maintained fleet vehicles and equipment, as well as heavy construction equipment, contractor equipment and tools, restaurant equipment, police evidence, and so much more. It's so easy and so fun to bid and buy online at Roller Auction. And it's open to everybody. Plus, they can help you sell your assets and turn them into cash. Go to roller.bid to see the entire lineup of upcoming auctions. That's roller.bid.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. 'Cause I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Denver Sports Talk.
I like games. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 to learn more. With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers plus taxes, fees, and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
You're in the paint. Live from number 38 in Rhino on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Angeles, the Nuggets fall to the Clippers and now are down in the first round series in the Western Conference, 2-1 after we just learned about Michael Porter Jr. If you missed it, we will hear from Michael Porter Jr. here in just a second. But want to remind you to lock in your 4-game pick'em plan for the 2025-26 season, starting at just $100. Choose your games and seats once the schedule drops in August. Save on fees and get 2025 playoff priority access. Secure your plan today and don't miss the biggest moments at Ball Arena. Visit nuggets.com to purchase. Okay, so if you missed it, Vic Lombardi, Mark Spears were tweeting out that Michael Porter Jr. in the locker room after the game was talking about just how severe his shoulder injury was coming into tonight's game. Here is Michael Porter Jr. in the locker room.
What's the last 48 hours been like for you treatment-wise?
Just a lot of different things, ice, different things. Trying to get some blood flow in there, but it's still such a fresh injury. It's going to be painful for sure.
That run that they went on at the end of the first into the second, what did you see during that run?
I know, that's what we lost the game. I think they got up 14 pretty quick. I think we couldn't score offensively, and then defensively they were hitting a lot of threes. So they went on that run, and it was tough after that.
How do you process a game like this when you got to turn around so quickly and it's the same team?
Man, just got to figure out some stuff tomorrow, try to get our bodies a little bit healthier, and then come out Saturday and we got to win.
What's the last
Okay, so later on in that answer, Michael said that he gave it a go tonight, but he couldn't lift his arm without pain. Says his shoulder injury is a 4 or 5 week recovery. They don't have 4 or 5 weeks. He said he was operating at 20 to 30%. I mean, 4 to 5 weeks, that's end of May. I mean, mid-May, May 25th at the earliest, as far as Michael Porter Jr.'s possible recovery from his shoulder injury would go. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but my guess is that would be towards the end or after the Western Conference Finals. So, yes, very concerning for Michael Porter Jr., and you've got to think, and I would hope that David Adelman is just going to tell Michael, dude, you're done for this series. If that's what we're looking at here, if it's a 4 or 5 week recovery from this injury, you can't put him on the floor. And honestly, I question the decision to put him on the floor tonight, because I'm assuming that the Nuggets training staff and coaching staff had this information before the game. And again, I commend Michael for giving it a go. It's the playoffs. Guys are battling through all sorts of stuff. But this is a situation where it's a head scratcher of why he was out there at all tonight to begin with the information that we're getting after the game. That is very, very, a very interesting decision from David Adelman, to say the least. Okay, some of the numbers here tonight. Hold on, I'm getting a text from Vic. Yes, Vic, if you're listening, feel free to call in, and we will get you on. I'm texting Vic back here. Jordan, keep an eye out on the phone. Vic might be calling in here in just a second. But just looking at the numbers tonight from this game, like I said, the Nuggets scored 3 points in transition. They were the number 1 fast break team in the NBA this year. So the best part of their game, of their offense, was non-existent tonight. They lost the assist battle, 26-20. They lost the rebounding battle by 10, 48-38. The Clippers had 15 offensive rebounds to Denver's 11, 33 defensive to Denver's 27. If the Nuggets lose the rebounding battle in this game, it's going to be a long series. All right, Vic's on the line, 303-504-0925. Vic Lombardi joins us from the Champ Mazda the text line. Vic, we're reading your text here, or your tweet about Michael Porter Jr. Can you just share a little bit about what you have learned about the injury to MPJ?
Yeah, he looked pretty defeated after the game, Dan. You asked why he played. I think it's the only way to tell if he can play. It was a game-time decision to begin with. He had never suffered an injury of this nature before. So the only way to tell is by giving it a go. And then hearing his comments after the game, as soon as he said he's at 30% tops, 4 to 5 week recovery, I don't know how you play him again in this series. I don't know how you trot him back down unless he has a miracle recovery by Saturday. So not only are you down 2-1 after getting blown out, but now you're down a starter. We don't know about Russ. Russ hurt his hip. We don't know his availability. It just does not look good for the Nuggets.
Well, Vic, I was questioning, like I said, I commend Michael for giving it a go. I mean, it's the playoffs, and guys are playing through all sorts of stuff. So I do have some respect for Michael giving it a go tonight. But what I'm questioning is, if he's testing it out, why is he playing 35 minutes? You know what I'm saying? Like, isn't 15 minutes enough to test it out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that would have made a difference. All right, so let's say he plays 9 minutes. All right, who do you go to?
That's the problem, Vic. That's the problem.
I mean,
yes, you're right.
It's not like they have a sharpshooter waiting in the wings to take his spot that's going to carry the load. They don't have. I mean, the more I evaluate this team and evaluate the season and where they sit right now, it's a personnel issue. They don't have the personnel. The Clippers are a deeper team. The end.
Vic, I've been saying that all season long. It's not a coaching issue. It's a roster issue. And I've equated the Nuggets. It's really kind of funny, Vic, how similar of trajectories the Avalanche and the Nuggets have been on. Because I think the Avalanche ran into the same problem that the Nuggets are in right now. The Avalanche realized they were too top-heavy. They won the cup. They paid everybody. And they were too top-heavy, and it wasn't working. I do, unfortunately, feel like that's kind of the situation that the Nuggets find themselves in right now.
Well, I said that last summer when we talked about losing to Minnesota. I said going into the season, I think they're too top-heavy, and I would consider doing something to add more depth to the roster. So my narrative has not changed. They got 50 wins this season, by hook or by crook, but I just don't know where they find it at this point, given the information we have. We had a very healthy debate on our post-game show, myself, Chris Tennessee, and Bill Hanzik. Bill's always about defense. He says he wants them to get more in their face, more perimeter-oriented, have a defense force the issue. And I said, Bill, they don't have the people to do that. That's not how they're built. I mean, who on this team are you going to ask to do that?
KCP and Bruce Brown are gone.
Yeah, and not only that, the other thing that makes it difficult, if you're going to press the issue defensively on the perimeter, right, if you're going to force people, well, sometimes those people are going to get by you. So now, do you have a rim protector to help you? They don't. That's not what Joker does. He's not a rim protector. So they're working with both issues now. Just on the perimeter, they can't stop anyone. And then when that someone drives to the bucket, they can't stop them. So there are a lot of questions to be answered, but I think we're seeing the flaws in real time now, flaws that emerged last year. And I think this offseason, I mean, listen, I don't want to sound like the season's already over, but it doesn't look good. I think this offseason is going to be so crucial for the Nuggets and how they rebuild this roster.
Well, and you're right, Vic. If this series goes the way it feels like it's going to go, that will be the case. Now, I will give the Nuggets a little bit of grace for last summer because they were kind of stuck, like the Jamal and the AG situations with signing their new contracts. Literally, they couldn't trade them. So even if – I'm not even saying they would have, but even if they wanted to, they couldn't have. But this summer they can, and I'm not saying they should or will, but at least this summer, Vic, they'll have more options as far as retooling this team around Nikola Jokic. But also, Vic, something that I think has been, not good so far for the Nuggets in this series is the fact that Christian Braun, who I thought had a phenomenal regular season, has sort of regressed so far here in these playoffs. Vic, they had 3 transition points tonight. They were, the number one scoring fast break team in the regular season. You're not going to win games when the best part of your offense doesn't show up.
And their offense has been really bad. And you just said it. You answered your own question. Why hasn't Christian Brown produced? Because they're not running. And he produces in the running game better than anybody. So when you don't have that and that's cut off, and it usually is cut off in the playoffs, then you're stuck in a half court. Listen, the Denver Nuggets led the NBA in field goal percentage. They had one of the best field goal percentages in franchise history. This playoff run, they have yet to hit 46% shooting. They have yet, the points in the paint, the last 2 games, they've been held to 38 points in the paint each game. That is well below what they're used to. So offensively, they're just not getting it done. The only way they were going to, again, I don't want to paint the picture that the series is over, but it's bleak. The only method to the Nuggets' madness in this series would be to outscore the opposition and put points up. They're not going to defend. That's not what they are, not at an elite level. But they can't even get their offense out of second gear right now, and I think that's what's doing them in.
Yeah, and Vic, just last thing, I am not questioning Nikola Jokic's effort tonight. I thought he played his ass off, to be honest with you, and he was invested the entirety of the time that he was on the floor. But, man, I got to tell you, his body language tonight, he was very frustrated. And I don't blame him, by the way. I mean, mostly on the defensive end is where Joker seems to be getting very frustrated with guys not being where they're supposed to be. That's a big concern to me when Nikola Jokic, I mean, you guys were showing it on TV. The still shots of Joker, he looked like he was just defeated at the end of that game.
Well, Saturday will tell us a lot of which of the players are invested, which of the players are interested in sticking around. Because David Adelman, after the game, said it. He said, physically, they just were not there. They just got pushed around. And he wants them to load up physically. And when I interpret that, hey, man, quit getting punked. Quit getting punked on both ends. And let's see who shows the physical desire. Now, it may not be enough. Just because you're physical doesn't mean you're going to win the game or play better defense. But it's a pride thing at this point. I have not seen the Nuggets get pushed around like this in a while, and they are getting pushed around.
I don't remember seeing this in the Jokic era, Vic, quite honestly, to this level. So, yeah, man, I'm with you. You're right.
I don't think – did you say Aaron?
No, I didn't.
Okay, because I don't think Aaron Gordon is fully healthy. He's not finishing around the rim like he normally does.
Not.
I don't think he's fully healthy.
Yep.
Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. is not fully healthy. So we can use those as excuses, or we could say, well, why are we here again? Because that was the excuse last year, right?
Yep.
That was the excuse last year. So I'm not sure what you do there. L.A. is fully confident. They just won by 34 freaking points. Their reserves are back in it. Norman Powell looked like Norman Powell again. They got balanced scoring. It is going to take a Herculean effort on Saturday to steal a game in L.A. We'll see if they're up to it.
All right, Vic. Great stuff, man. Appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
See you, Danny.
All right, there he goes. Vic Lombardi after the Nuggets fall to the Clippers. 117-83 is your final. Just a reminder, on Saturday, we will be doing another watch party for your Denver Nuggets at Tony Tenderoni's in Denver. DMAC will be giving away awesome prizes, including an autographed Michael Porter Jr. jersey. Thanks to our friends at Michelob Ultra. We'll see you at Tony Tenderoni's coming up on Saturday. We'll see if the Nuggets are able to even the series in Los Angeles against the Clippers and send this thing back to Denver tied up at 2 games apiece. That's going to do it for the post-game show tonight, everybody. Thank you to Jesse Trujillo, Kevin Shockey, Jordan Berg back at the radio station, and thank you, Nuggets Nation, for tuning in to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Hey!
Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Proud partners of the Nuggets, Avalanche, Rapids, and Mammoth.
You ready for this?
Get in the game with Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
You've got a chance to win a Mazda MX-5 from Silterhar Motors, and you can earn 25% more entries now. Visit AltitudeSportsRadio.com for all the details. Proceeds benefit Make-A-Wish Colorado.
If you love distinctive, unique designer jewelry that doesn't look like everybody else, you have to experience Lieke